Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Organizing to Victory podcast, where we're talking garage politics. My name's Lee Perry, and today we have a very special guest named Janet Buford-Johnson, who's running for the Florida House of Representatives in District 41. We talk about some really heartfelt themes and her rise into politics, starting with over 4 feet of water entering her home after she was hit in Orla Vista by 2 hurricanes. In this journey of becoming politically active, she has fought every single day for her community, knocking on doors, feeding her neighbors, and just making sure that there's a sense of community even in the hardest times. In this interview, there's some hard themes that we talk about, so I just want to make sure you listen responsibly and be prepared for the conversation that we're about to have. So here's my conversation with Janet. Everyone, I know you've seen her around because she literally goes to everything, but we have our friend Janet Buford-Johnson here, who's running for Florida House District 41. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I think everybody sees you at literally, if it's a picnic, if it's a barbecue, if it's a cleanup, if it's a Democrat event, you've gone to Republican event, like you'll go to anything, because I think at the end of the day, you're willing to listen to anyone and talk to anyone. And, I can tell that you really care about your community.
Absolutely. I feel that we're all human beings at the end of the day, and it's more important to hear about the humane side about things more so than it's about this party or that party. It's about doing the right thing as being a decent human being more so than anything.
Which is somehow harder and harder every year. I don't know why. But so before we get into what lit your candle for the first time for politics, I'd love to learn a little bit about you and where you were born and how you kind of came to be an adult in this world.
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. My mother and my father, they were Mississippians. So my mom was passing through at the time. That's a whole nother story, but she gave birth to me. I lived in Mississippi for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And from there, my grandmother raised me until my mother came back to get me. She moved to Jersey City, New Jersey. And I went to high school and started my whole life, everything from up there. And then I moved down here in, early 90. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I've been here 36 years in Orlando.
And you moved here just for fun, or?
My mom, my husband, and I at the time, we came here. My mom was here already for about 7 months ahead of time. And so I've been here since then, actually it would be of 89, July of 89. I was 19. Mm-hmm. So yeah, do the math on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you always say that you're older than people think. So I feel like that could have been just yesterday, but.
Right. Yeah.
So tell me, you chose to come here. Was there something appealing about Central Florida?
Okay. So I went to the High School of Visual and Performing Arts. So I'm a singer, but I also used to dance and do a lot of the other things.
We're going to ask you to sing on this podcast. Be ready.
Anytime. I went to that High School of Visual and Performing Arts. I learned how to do scales, write music, transpose. So my dream was to always have this dream job of working at Disney World. And, I did get that job, but I also worked as a food and beverage manager. And I started off my career working at KFC. I worked for Favor Shoes when it was here. I worked for Favor Shoes in New Jersey, too. It was my second job that I ever had. So in between retail and food and hospitality, that's where I've been. And I did that work for 32 years. And I even cater, even till this day still.
Oh, okay. Catering. What kind of food?
Anything you can think about, I can make it. My grandmother, we had Asian and soul food. So we had a little mix in the house. And then, anything you can think about making, I can make it. Mm. Never say no, because if you tell me no, I'm going to show you that I can.
Mm. We're going to need some cooking classes because I can't cook, y'all. That's an exclusive. So, so you're a small business owner.
In a sense, yes.
Mm-hmm. What parts of your community do you love? Because you're obviously still here for a reason.
I love the fact that when things get to where they are and then somehow we tend to pull it together. And I love the fact that some of us tend to work together for the greater good of what we know to save our community. And that I have, and where I live in Orla Vista, it is that way. I mean, we had all these disparaging things that happened to us. I mean, we were flooded twice, Hurricane Irma in 2017 and Hurricane Ian in 2022, especially there. We went through some really real challenges. And from there, I haven't left. I raised my children here. My eldest is 36 and my youngest is 18. So,
I mean, the first time I ever saw you was on the news talking about the flooding. And I mean, some of the flooding was like up to someone's chest, like in their home.
Yeah, it really was. It was at 4 feet in my house. The water, and when the doors opened that day, and we had it already coming up, but it was 4 feet of water in my house. My house is a little bit higher in elevation because I am right on the lake and the retention pond, Lake Jupiter. I am right there. So my house was up a little bit higher, but my neighbors are a little lower. So they had 5 feet. I had 4.
And what was the response of like the elected officials in the area after the flooding? Like, did you feel like people were there immediately, like trying to get resources, or were you on your own?
If we go back to that night, particularly for Hurricane Ian, my daughter and I, oh God, just sometimes reliving it is really hard. But no, they were not as responsive as they should have been, because I do believe, and all of my neighbors do as well, if they can sell our information to these buyers that want to come and solicit to buy our homes all the time, they had our phone numbers. So when they found out the pumps were failing, they should have made contact with us so we could have evacuated, and it would have saved so much for so many of us. But a lot of us lost everything. A couple of people lost their lives. So it was a whole different thing. So no, I feel that our government failed us. And even now some of us are still trying to get our lives and our homes back together.
And there's no like rapid response or mobile stations to connect people to.
Those occurred, but the water had to dissipate, and that took a few days. And once they finally got those down, and then, they gave us the clear where we can come into our community. And that's when it was. I mean, it took some days. It was not an easy process.
Was that the thing that lit your light bulb of like, I need to get into politics?
Actually, no. That was what essentially started it. From Ian, yes. When I said I'm going to run. But before that, growing up, I would go back to Mississippi to visit my grandparents. My grandmother, in actuality, she was the pastor of the church, and my grandmother was good friends with the pastor. He was Pastor Fields, and Reverend Jesse Jackson was Pastor Finn's best friend. They went to high school, college, and they were seminary school together. Cool. And so therefore, I used to be in the kitchen when they would come in the summertime. When I would come and visit, I would be there for little informal freedom fighter meetings. So I would be right there with them. So that's what really lit me up for it, because he told me that you have to fight. You can't stand back and just let things happen to you. So I've always kept that resonated in my mind. So I've always voted ever since I was like 18 because of them and with the works that they did.
Well, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be okay with challenging me on this, right? Okay. In the kitchen, just hearing these conversations of these like freedom fighters that are coming together and like trying to organize. Sometimes I'm in rooms and we're having conversations and we're making plans and we're organizing, and I feel like, is this history in the making? My aunt was a Black Panther and was very active in politics in New York and in Boston and Massachusetts. And I'm always asking her, like, did it feel like it feels now? Did you know that something big was coming? Did you know that the movement was working? Or did it feel, because sometimes right now organizing, it feels so dark and it feels so dismal, and you don't know if what you're even thinking about and talking about in those rooms is even going to surmount to anything. Right. Do you have any remembrance of that time and that feeling?
Because they were so uplifting. And then afterwards, we would go into prayer, and we would have, during those times, I remember it being so significant because, then it was my grandma would lead us off, and into song after they would do the prayer, after everything was, the meeting was continued. At those meetings, it was always uplifting for me as a kid because I was able to learn and listen. Because, as a kid, you're not, we can't be in the room because they said we couldn't. But they said I could because they said I'm a freedom fighter too. So I took pride in knowing that I was able to make a difference. Mm-hmm. So it felt good because it was empowering for me.
Yeah. That is something that I want Democrats in Florida to harness. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be you walk into church doors to have that feeling, and then when you leave church, you're smacked back into reality. Like, organizing should have that hopefulness and that connectivity and that love and that joy. But it feels very, you have to work and work and work and turn key and do these things that it's very laborious.
Yes.
And not necessarily joyful.
Yes.
And I think that's why we lose a lot of people.
Yes.
Because you go into communities, especially underserved communities, mm-hmm. people could organize their way out of their circumstances. We have social media. We have things that the civil rights movement maybe didn't have access to. Mm-hmm. And it feels almost like there's more apathy now.
True. I agree with you on that. What I noticed since I've been doing this, I feel that our community is underserved in that manner. And if we don't go along with what someone else says, and therefore we are not going to make the difference in which we need to. Mm-hmm. And they don't utilize those things. Instead, they're caught up in yesteryear instead of being focus driven as to what we can use today to build it better for our children and the generations that are coming under us. So that's the difference between me. I see things as evolution. I see the possibilities, and I'm never going to give up the fight until I know that it's done. Mm-hmm. So if this came out to be where this is over, then okay, this is over. But if my work never stops, the work continues. Mm-hmm. What I can do to build for a better tomorrow for my family, the future of our generations to come, that's what my life fulfillment would be. Yeah. That's the way I feel, truly.
So that was when you became like politically enlightened.
I was enlightened as a kid, yeah.
And then your journey into actually filing, what was that like?
Okay, so the day when I was going into the journey of filing in 2022 after the storm, there was also the election. It was a runoff election between, I believe it was Mike Scott and Lawana Gelzer, I believe it was during that time. So that race was coming up. So I was able, because I still voted regardless. I got everything together and I went to go and vote. And then from there, I was like, we've had everybody come through here. We've had the representation of every person that feels that they want to make some good or do some good for what has just happened to us. But we didn't get that from the person that I'm actually the opponent that I have the incumbent now. He did not. So I was like, where is he? Well, he just won the seat back. I said, well, if he just won the seat back, he still needs to be here. Mm-hmm. And including him, not just him, the person that was there at the time when it happened. But I learned that he would not. And then my friend Robin, who was running, and then she had a general election with him. And of course, that how that ended up turning out. So she was just devastated because she was out trying to really do some good and help all the communities that were underwater, and especially us in Isla Vista. Mm-hmm. So that made me, it infuriated me for one, because he played in her face, telling her, I'm not going to run. I'm going to do this. And then the next thing you know, I'm doing this, and it's not personal. I'm like, it was personal, because mm-hmm. people's lives are, affected by what you do and what you don't do. So it was really personal for me. And that's what made me decide I was going to run, because I don't like people playing with other people's lives and not taking a chance, not doing what needs to be done for us, for everyone here. Years and years of people not even nothing for our community, nothing for just Isla Vista, not just Isla Vista, but for all of us. Because I started going to everybody's meeting from that day, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. from November of 2022 up until when I decided to file in 24. I started going to meetings everywhere you would look, you would see me. People didn't know, who is that? Yeah, but I made sure that you knew who I was. But people that have known me for years since I came to Florida knew who I was. And they were like, oh, that's Janet, da, 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 da. And when she makes up in her mind so she's going to do something, she does it. So I'm not going to stop. And that fire has been lit ever since.
Has he come back to the community since?
Only when it was time for election, May of 24. May of 24, he came in. And of course, the elders, the seniors, they knew him, you know. And of course, at first I was like, is that really him? And they was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and they said, nope, you say nothing. We got this. So I just sat back and I just let it happen.
Yeah. And it was a town hall. And
yeah.
I mean, has he, and it doesn't have to be necessarily about him, but like, has there been any state movement, any appropriations, anything from that seat that has been enacted to help people, even just like a resource drive or?
I haven't seen it. I mean, to me, I feel like he's been catatonic at best, and a lot of people feel the same exact way. Because I visit everywhere.
I mean, there's other representatives that maybe they don't have as much legislative power since we are in like a supermajority Republican area, but they're doing diaper drives, they're doing clothing drives, they're like getting resources, even passing out water bottles, like making sure that right after you're impacted, you're in the community to just kind of be a catch-all for where the needs are. And if you're not bringing that need in that moment, you can figure out in the next event or the next nonprofit that you need to mobilize to come in and help. So I'm sad to see that that type of rapid response didn't happen from this state elected official.
No.
I mean, it's a big story. You know, the flooding is... It
was horrific. I mean, myself, and I can say just for myself and my family, and I speak for a lot of us, we lost everything. I lost cars. I lost memories of my mother, my grandmother, things from 1930 and 40 that my grandmother and my great grandmothers had left me. I'm never going to see those things again. Things that would belong to my children from their birth. You know, I had all those records and all those things. They're all wiped off the face of the earth. I will never see those things again.
Right.
My mother's gone. My grandmother's gone. I lost my mom in 2003. She was 52. So when you go through that kind of loss, it's just like, what the hell, you know, what can I do to make things better? You know, I didn't wallow in it, but I'm my mother's only child. So it was really tough. Yeah. So to lose her stuff and then to turn around and then the next couple to go through this again. And I had just lost my grandmother that, you know, a few months before that. So it was just like, this just can't be happening. This is unreal.
Yeah. Well, you decided to file. How has that been?
The first time it was, wow, it was so overwhelming. It was also surprising because I didn't think that the party that I had in my head that it was, that we are, so, you know, we're here, we're supporting one another, we fight for one another, we do. It was disenchanting. It was just like, as we say at Disney World, somebody ate my cheese. You know, who ate my cheese? This, not a mouse, it was a rat, you know? So I'm like, now I'm out of that facade of thinking that, you know, we have this party and we stand together and we're Democrats and we're going to make this difference. We have this disassociation with each other that is just horrendous. This is not what I imagined it to be. Even growing up in New Jersey, the Democratic Party is different than here. Yeah. In New York, it's different than here.
It is. It has, there's more infrastructure, right? And it's a little bit more of a playing field that's equal. I mean, you should immediately, when you file, like the state should have the resources to get you the trainings and show you, here's all the consultants, here's all the lobbyists, here's all the campaign managers, like, and have kind of a resource guide for candidates. Did you get that?
No. I did not. It was, like I said, it was a culture shock. It was more so, I got to figure this out on my own. And whatever friends that I had that were in political seats or running for something that I may have met along the way, you know, they were the ones who gave me advice and tried to get me where I needed to be. And if it wasn't for those resources, I don't know what I would have done because I had no clue. I didn't know how to raise money. And I still don't. It's a challenge even right now.
Oh, yeah.
But again, these are economic times. Everybody's having that challenge right now. I really believe that. But it was very, very tough. Mm-hmm. Not to mention the fact that my home was still in disrepair. You know, my home was in the sticks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you win, which I believe with the grit that you have, you will, what are some of the priorities that you want to try to champion and get over the finish line?
The biggest thing for me, I told my son that I would never bring it up, but it would be justice reform. Mm-hmm. And the other thing would be healthcare. Healthcare, of course, there is the immigration issue that, you know, that's on without even being said. And I'm honest, I'm 100% on no more ICE in our communities and all that. And, you know, then of course, then there is making sure that we save our planet, that kind of thing. Those are things that are very important in education. Mm-hmm. But justice reform and healthcare are number ones for me. Why? Because healthcare, when I speak about healthcare, it's not just physical, but it's also mental, mm-hmm. which is a lot of reasons why we have a lot of the crimes that are committed in our community. Because sometimes when someone doesn't feel that they have what it takes, they do other things. And if their mental health is a factor in that, a lot of those things would not have happened. If we had proper health care and proper things in place, mental health institutions or places where people can get the help that they need. Those things are very dear to me. When I speak about that, I can actually say, because my brother, I lost my brother on January 11th of 2021. My brother committed suicide. My brother ran out into traffic and killed himself. 4 months before that, my nephew lost control of his vehicle, his namesake. He lived in Memphis, Tennessee, and he lost control of his vehicle, and he went into the river, and he died on impact. My brother was not able to handle that type of grief again, because it was the second one of his children that he lost. In 2016, my niece hung herself at 12 years old. So it was a lot. My brother hadn't even gotten over that.
Oh my God. And you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't.
But if he had the resources and people could recognize what was really happening.
A safety net.
Those things really matter. If someone tells you that they're going to harm themselves, you take that seriously. So, and I do. If someone tells me, oh, I'm going to do this, I tell them, let me see what I can do to get this person some help. And it hit me home just 2 weeks ago on Monday night, 2 weeks ago. I was home and I got a phone call, and my oldest son is in prison. And they told me my son said he's going to take his life, and he was writing letters. What? And as a mom, you're like, what? I'm like, put him on the phone. And when he heard my voice, he hung up the phone. He hung up the phone. And then I had a whole night of not knowing how that could be. I mean, you don't know where it can take a person. Mental health, when you feel like you don't have a reason to live, when you don't have food that you can provide for your family, when you feel like woe is me, this happened to me, I lost my child, I lost this, I lost my job, I don't have anything to live for.
Yeah.
So those are things that can really happen to you. And those things are very important. And if we see the signs there, instead of trying to tear someone down, we do what we can to uplift them, we help them.
America doesn't know how to be empathetic to a degree for that. It's very judgmental.
Yes.
It's like, why aren't you getting it together? Just get it together. It should be like a light switch, right? And if you've ever struggled with depression, which I have gone to a very, very, very dark place before, it is like having a thick black curtain over your head. And you just can't see clearly. Even if you wake up and say, today I'm going to do my best and I'm going to put my feet on the ground, the energy that it takes to not only be able to feel that and genuinely mean it and then carry it throughout the day, when you have that dark veil, it just gets darker and darker and darker. And when we say mental health, it's more than just sitting on a couch and having a counselor. Like, it is wrap around resources, a team
every day.
And because of our lack of healthcare, we really deprive people of those resources, and they put their mental health on the back burner. They put their physical health on the back burner because they don't want a copay, or they don't want to incur any type of cost or inconvenience someone.
Exactly. And when I think about, I'm going to also tell you, this happened to me, losing my family the way I have. I also went through a extreme amount of deaths. In like 13 months, I lost 19 members of my family. I did not lose my mind. I was very steadfast in my prayers. And, I had to get counseling, grief counseling, but it's also a lot of anxiety that came along with that. And prior to that, the year before that, I was robbed at gunpoint. And from that, I suffered from PTSD from that, and I took a fall afterwards. So therefore, it hurt my back. So I have a severe thing. So I'm disabled. But a lot of people don't know that. I struggle to do everything I do every day because of those things. But I have more anxiety than anything. Anxiety. The grief that I have, I'm angry because my family left me. And sometimes it feels like I'm here by myself, because I'm like, this battle that I have, this what I want to do and where I want things to go, I want everybody to not suffer. And I know that's like some utopian dream, but that's just me, the dreamer. But I'm also a realistic person. I realize that we've got a lot of fight to do to save our people, to save us all. So treating people like human beings and fighting for what we know is right, and going to work and not being able to buy food for your family, how that can affect someone, or even to support yourself, because some people can't even have children and would love to. I see people for what they are, and I don't judge. I just live and let love and let God lead me.
And I'm so grateful that you're being vulnerable and telling your story. And I'm so sorry to hear about your losses. I just want to say that. I'm so proud of your stamina. I don't think I could do what you did. I don't think I have the strength. Honestly, when I lost my grandmother, she's my best friend.
Yes, mine too.
I face planted. Like I couldn't run a campaign. I couldn't get into, I couldn't pull from that place to want to think about anyone else in my community, because I was in such a dark hole. And it almost feels like you've channeled it to want to do more, and you've channeled it. And the saddest part of your story to me, outside of obviously the grief and the loss that you've had to experience, is that you haven't felt like you have a community within the Democratic Party. Like, it's a very kind of cutthroat, competitive sense, when isn't the whole reason why we're doing this to help other people? I mean, aren't we supposed to be the empathy party? And so it should be more of a nurturing, place where we're trying to plant seeds inside of the hearts of people to grow as a movement.
Right.
And instead it feels very isolating. Your story and your passion for helping your community should be an advantage in this space. But instead, I really do think people that have a caring heart who run in politics, they're kind of looked at as, well, if you don't have money, we just discount you. Instead of having your story be an asset to why you should run. They look at it as, she's super passionate, but if you don't have X amount in the bank day one, if you're not a lawyer with like a personal network of independently wealthy friends, then we don't make the time to really grow you into a candidate. But
not worth the time. That's
I've seen lawyers with no personality and no story that people have jumped through hoops to try and beg and cultivate into running for office. And it's like, no. Yes,
that's truly true.
It's
truly true. And when I think about what you're saying from that perspective, and then, I'm going to say in 2019 too, from that time, my son, he got arrested. And when he got arrested, that also kind of pushed me back to not run. But my son said, no, Mom, I want you to run, but I don't want you to talk about me because people will not want you around or think that you're a bad person because of what happened to me. And I'm like, let me let that sit for a minute. And I'm like, no, I know that I did not raise a monster. I know who you are, and I don't want you to forget who you are. Mm-hmm. I want you to understand and know that you always have to fight for everything, because I fought from being a small child up until now. I've never just accepted what someone else's opinion of me is. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to show you that I can. Mm-hmm. If you have to have that tenacity, and that I'm just never going to let you win that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind fighting and proving myself and being the best person win. But it also comes to a time that you can get so tired of people bombarding you with all that negative connotation all the time. Oh, you don't have any money, so it's not even worth having a conversation with you. Those are some of the things that I was met with.
Oh, yeah.
I was met with those things. So I totally get what you're saying on that. I have to say it's not fair, but it is the reality of what we live in now, and it shouldn't be that way.
But the money, what it would pay for are stagnant mailers, stagnant texts that don't have half the emotion that you would get from you being face-to-face, knocking doors and going to all these events and being so deeply enshrined in your community. That is also equal to the money.
Right.
People just immediately see resources as, how am I going to flood mailboxes with mailers if you don't have the resources? You're actually making genuine connections.
Yes.
Which can actually be more persuasive than a text.
Exactly.
Invest in that. Let's invest in that.
Right.
It's just a different style of campaigning, you know? And I'm not trying to say that funding isn't important. It's important. But it's so hard for me as a campaign manager to tell my candidates to knock on doors in places where I know people are having a hard time putting diapers on their kids.
Yes.
And asking for resources, or having an ask at all, and not bringing education or bringing mutual aid. Something
to help them.
I mean, we can't just keep doing things the way it always has been, because if you go into an apartment or a mobile home, park or whatever, and you're with an ask, this is why people are like, I don't do politics.
Or I don't vote anymore. It's more of that than anything. I don't do politics. Get out of my face. I have people, I've been out trying to get petitions. So it has not been so successful because of what has happened to us, who we are. It has changed the trajectory of our democracy in our communities. People are not interested in being part of the party or even trying to vote. So when they see me knock on the door, they look in shock. You're the candidate? Absolutely, I'm the candidate.
Yeah.
I'm here because I represent you, and I want to know what you need and how can I be of service to you.
Right.
Because I'm hired by you. Your vote is you're voting for me to be your representative.
Right.
And writing bills that would actually make change for you is far more important to me, because I don't want to see you suffering like this anymore. How can I be of service to you?
Right.
And that's what people don't, they've gotten away from that. So that, therefore, I have people that come up to me and just, oh, hey, Janet. Yeah, because I'm just like your regular everyday. I'm here. I'm never going to be something different, even when I win. And I'm claiming it. Even when I win, I'm still going to be just Janae. I don't want you to treat me any differently. I just want you to be honest and be straightforward with me, and I'll be honest and straightforward with you. And the minute that I do, then I'll be a regular politician, and that's not something that my grandmother raised.
So I hope that the community understands that it's a Republican-controlled legislature.
Yes.
And sometimes a Democrat in the circumstance would just kind of coast and be like, well, we really can't do anything. And just kind of maybe have their one or two things that they sell to the community to obfuscate around actually implementing more and going above and beyond for their role. And then they show back up during an election year, what are some things that you'll fight for when you get up to Tallahassee? And then what are some of those soft power things that you'll be willing to do for your community that maybe is above and beyond the role?
For one, I know that I would always be available for our people, regardless to if I have somebody working here in the office here, for sure. Mm-hmm. Whoever's here, they're going to be my voice. So if they don't show up, I want you to call me and tell me. Because my phone number, I answer my phone. Mm-hmm. You text me, I text you back. Even I don't know the number. Like, hey, it's me, da-da-da-da-da. Can you... Okay, let me know what I can do to make that better. You know, okay, we're having this event over here and the seniors need this. I will be there. I'm that person that will make sure that we'll find a way to fund it, to make sure that we get the help to help our seniors or to help with some homeless drive or whatever we need to do to help our community, the things that really matter to us, because we need something to stabilize our economy because a lot of people live in their cars.
Yeah. There's so much more. I think people don't even know what could be done.
Right.
Like $430 million of our FEMA money is going to Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades to harbor immigrants when people could benefit so greatly from having those FEMA dollars as rapid response in their community after something like a hurricane. Yes. And hurricanes are only going to become more common with climate change. So like some people just they're suffering in silence and they almost don't know what's possible if we had the right people in power, because even when we get a Democrat elected, they're not harnessing every piece of power that they have to bring back to the community.
I feel that so deeply because, again, if there is an opportunity to help in any way, we should be doing that. And that has no race, no creed, none of that, no religion, because we're human beings. And to treat someone like they're less than a human being, Alligator Alcatraz, I mean, if we want to go back in history, we know what that really is. Alligators, they used to feed our children to the alligators. Our children were gator bait. That's the reality of when I hear that.
People take pictures next to the sign.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting because they fed our children in slavery times, because slavery did happen. They fed our children.
Well, not based on my history book. It just skips over that. I think it's beneficial. It was beneficial for the Black community.
Whose? Not our. It wasn't beneficial in any way.
Slaves liked it. It gave them economic opportunity based on my kids' school book, Pager U, or whatever it's called.
It's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's a word that I can't even, because we're here, I'm not going to even use the word I want to use.
You are allowed to curse on here. But, I mean, the thing is that there's a lot of seniors that are aging without safety nets in Florida.
Exactly.
Like my family, my aunts live in Massachusetts. They have something called Mass Health. And
like Jersey.
Yeah.
New York, they have real systems, wraparound services.
And their taxes were higher, but she has somebody that comes to her house to get her prescriptions, to do wellness checks, to help tidy up,
or make food.
even pick up a couple groceries.
Yep, and make food.
And she qualified to live in an apartment downtown across from a theater. Everything's walkable, where they have a mini grocery store on the first floor. Okay. So that when there's freezes, she can still get eggs, she can still get milk, all the things. She goes out almost every night. She gets $1 ticket to go to the theater, and when there is a crisis, she fell once and she broke her wrist. Like, someone is there to check on her.
Right.
And it's rent stabilized. She only pays $600 a month in her fixed income for rent.
Isn't that beautiful?
I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then we have such a senior aging demographic here.
Yes.
That I feel I literally have gone into hotels to help clean rooms. And some of them, I can tell they're sitting in the dark by themselves all day. And I don't think anybody checks on them.
And no food. Half of them don't even have food. They can't afford to have it. They're barely even in that hotel.
It's like, and thank God some of the hotels, like when you talk to people, they're checking on each other.
Right.
But it should not be this way.
Mm-hmm. But it also causes that depression that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Because some of them go into like this manic state and then the bipolar and those things. And if you're not checking that's how all the crazy crimes and all the other things come into play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're taking care of them. But are you really? No, we're not. We're letting everybody fall into the wayside, our seniors, because it is major in our community and it's running rapidly.
I mean, the state legislature passed Senate Bill 180 to basically preempt local governments from being able to control growth and manage development under the guise of wanting to give back to the community after a hurricane so that we could quickly rebuild and not restrict developers from rebuilding. But frankly, they're not targeting communities like yours to rebuild. They're trying to build deeper into our wildlife areas and build homes that are just unsustainable based on the wages here. I mean, imagine if the Sadowski Fund, for example, had a budget not just for affordable housing, but for like rapid response and repair for communities that can't afford to redo their home every couple years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those things would be key. But then also, because I was looking at I've been writing some things and, a housing initiative where we take some of these dilapidated buildings and we find builders and people that would actually donate some of their time and their expertises and teach some of these kids some of these opportunities to partnership and to intern, to learn how to become a plumber and learn how to become, vital parts of our community, and learning how, even with some of the colleges, and having some of those students that are going to school to be doctors and lawyers, and they coming and doing wraparound services, remodeling, rehabbing those places and having a full wraparound services, just like what you're talking about, and letting them be there for 3-6 months to help them to get where they need to be so they can develop the skills so they can move forward and make this a more habitable and more cohesive environment for everyone. But that's something that I would love to champion for our community. Those are the kind of things that I really love and I want to be able to be part of.
I mean, if you pay attention to the bills that move through the state legislature every year, if people just paid attention, you can tell that they're trying to displace low income, majority people of color out of Florida.
Yes.
And if they're not trying to push us out with some piece of legislation, they're trying to remove the legal responsibility for a company to clean up their poison, for example, with the phosphate mining industry.
Sure.
I mean, there are hundreds of lobbyists from these different private corporations that go up to Tallahassee. They write a bill and hand it to a legislator and say, hey, can you make sure people can't sue me for like dumping radioactive material in their water?
I got a fifth eye. I got 5 eyes now.
Right.
I've grown 3 extra toes and all these other things that you've given me cancer. Those things, it's just horrendous.
It's like
absolutely the worst.
To me, if the Democratic Party wants to rebuild its brand, you find the real fighters who are willing to speak on those issues, because people are burnt out, because even if they vote D or R, those people aren't speaking to these issues. But the average voter, I know people say voters don't pay attention. I think voters know what's going on. They just know that no one's really doing anything about it.
And that's why they don't go out and vote anymore.
Right.
That's why a lot of them don't. They may be registered, but to get them to come out and vote, you've got to be someone who actually walks it and talks it and does it every single day.
And now they're purging voters from the voter rolls. Another major point that I think will make you stand out in comparison to others in this race is there's a difference between voting for something and fighting for something. Like, a lot of state legislators will be like, I didn't vote for that. But did you fight while you were up there? Mm-hmm. Because if you just kind of showed up and didn't say anything, didn't argue on the floor, didn't try to whip votes, didn't try to leverage any other pieces of legislation that is favorable, which I know the Republicans up there have all gone completely cuckoo. And now that it's a super majority, it's like even harder to do that. But like, did you fight?
Right.
And if you didn't fight, then just voting no on something isn't enough to make the community feel like they can trust you.
Absolutely.
And I can see you up there, like having the one-on-ones, having sidebars, trying for the sake of your community to get something moving.
And to me, it's not just my community. I feel like all of us need to be doing the same thing. And I'll fight for anybody, any district, anywhere. As long as we're here, I'll keep on talking. I'll keep on fighting, and I'm not going to give up. I've had to fight for everything my entire life. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm fighting to help save my son in a system where I know that if my son had not, my son went out, and I'm going to explain that when I say that. In 2019, my son went to jail here in Orange County for murder. And that particular night, he didn't know the guy that he ended up having to shoot. He didn't know him at all. But the guy accused him of being the police. The guy hit him 3 times before he shot him. And they said he was unarmed. The guy, my son, said, I can see a gun at his waist. So I didn't know about it right away because, of course, my kids try to hide everything from me. But eventually everybody going to come tell mom. So when I found out because someone just called my phone and said, your son just got arrested for murder. I'm like, what the hell did you just say? So from that day, so when my son told me everything, then he had an attorney. She was really good. She said she wanted me to come in so I could see the video. I was like, what do I need to see a video of this for? I went to go see this video. She said, wait for it. Because I saw what my son said. My son said he hit him. The dude just kept hitting him. And on like the 4th time, the son fired the gun. And if my son didn't do what he did that day, the guy was going to kill my son. My son was there with a girl. He was there with his friends. It was like 12 of them. Mm-hmm. Now in stature, my son is like cocky, like muscular, kind of short. So it just didn't resonate, this was going to happen. But adrenaline was pumping because you're scared, He pulled the gun, but the other guy was drunk and crazy too. So when my son shot him, the other guy came along. One of his friends, everybody ran away, but his friend came back, and he was pushing and touching him and calling his name and saying all these things. And he felt what my son said, a weapon of sorts. He took it. He took off his shirt. I saw it all on the video, wrapped it up, and ran away until the police and the ambulance were coming. We never saw him come back until when they were there. So the weapon was wrapped up and taken away by his friends. But in the courtroom, when my son in 2022, because, it shut down because of COVID, of course. So in 2022, when we finally went to court, it was done in like 2.5 days. The lawyer he had, because the first lawyer that he had an accident in her car. So all of them, her cases were taken from her, especially that murder cases or any capital things. So we lost her. We got this other guy. And this other guy did not. He asked no questions in there. He didn't even have discovery. So the video, I said, well, are you going to have them play the video in its entirety? He says, no, that it drums up sympathy for the victim. I said, no, it doesn't. It will exonerate my son. No, they did not. They forced it. They did not play the video. He asked one question through the entire trial for my son. They did a pick 6 jury, not of his peers, but people that they picked, 6 people, first 6 people. They just put them in there. And 4 of the jurors came back with a guilty verdict because they did not play that video. And because of that, my son got life.
They have incredible stand your ground laws in Florida. They want to protect people with guns. I don't understand how, if you have evidence that he was in a life or death situation, you know.
He was of depraved mind. And so was the other guy. Had to be, because he saw my son had a gun in his holster. He had a gun at his waist. Mm-hmm. So, and they're drunk and crazy. And even from the camera angle that they showed outside of that, you can see my son was backed into a corner. So he was trying to back away, not trying to cause any conflict, but this guy just kept coming. He was the aggressor. Mm-hmm. The victim was the aggressor here. My son didn't know him. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, and they both had criminal history. You know, both of them my son had 2 felonies. This guy had maybe 3 or 4. So in the interim, because they said that you are a monster. You didn't play the video. If you played the video, and I couldn't say anything, I just had to sit there and take it. So the same day I went to go see the first lawyer, because I found out that she was back taking clients. I said, if I'd have known that you were back able to take your clients back, I would have fired him for my son and got you back. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I ended up, because of the circumstances, the appellate court, they went to do appeal right there. So therefore, the motion that I got, because I had to pay her quite a bit of money, and from that day, it had to sit for years. You know, it sat for years before they finally did anything. And so they finally they closed it and said that he's not going to get another chance at it. The appeal said no, that he can't have an appeal because they can't introduce new evidence. You need to go and find you another attorney and maybe see if you can have another trial done. So it's just, so therefore now at this point now, my son feels like he has no choice. His life is over. They want me to die here. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of my election, July 3rd of 24, my son got stabbed in prison 26 times. And I had to keep my head, because I'm like, my son didn't want me to discuss anything about what's going on in our lives. Mm-hmm. Because people are not going to be coming to me because they feel because of what happened with him. I'm like, son, that's not how this works. Mm-hmm. But because I gave him that promise, but now I'm like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do everything I can to help my son.
There's a lot of families that are going through this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of families that, I mean, the court systems have been so underfunded, under-resourced, and kind of in a corrupt way. You know, we've had a lot of attorneys and people just looking to make money.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Just preying on the system here in Florida because we're so far from justice. Mm-hmm. And the path to reform will take a new legislature to care, to ask the right questions. And somebody's getting rich off of all of it.
Well, I am never going to quit. I am here for the fight. Whether I have this position or wherever I'm going to be, I'm not going to quit. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to quit, because I know that I'm not the only person that this has happened to. I know that I've seen so many things unjustly happening to children and, even adults. This is not fair. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anyone to go through what I have witnessed and what I have been through, what my children have been through, and other people that I know that have suffered so many horrible things like this. Mm-hmm. You know, even when I got robbed at gunpoint, I was like, oh my God, but my job at that time, I was the general manager of the store. So I'm trying to protect my employees. So I got in front of it because I didn't want anybody else to be harmed. I've always been that person that's going to stand up and fight for my people. No matter who you are, you my people.
Right. Well, I mean, what kind of reforms would you champion?
Criminal justice reform, of course. Things with the foster care systems. There's a lot of things happening with our children that should not be in place, that really have just gone to the wayside. It's so many things that I have come to learn during this time. And children deserve someone who actually listens. They need a lawyer too.
Right.
They need someone that's there for them too, not someone who's trying to build whatever their little hope and dream and how they're taking advantage of this situation, this family, because this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
We need things in place that actually protect our families and how we can, rehabilitate a situation versus destroying it even more,
Mm-hmm.
or making this child at this young age, they did this, but now all of a sudden they're this criminal that is so far gone that we can't do anything to bring them back now.
Mm.
Those are the things that I want to make a difference with.
I think it's really starts with like getting the corporate profiteering out of the system.
Exactly.
And then finding ways to reinvest, so that we can have programs and trainings. And I mean, what is, everyone wants to say, oh, well, if you're mentally unstable or mentally ill and you end up on the streets, or you end up in depression and contemplating self-harm, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
But
it's not.
It's so frustrating because if we did rehabilitate and prioritize that and invest in people, we could get them on a path to be more economically productive. Mm-hmm. And then they would be able to be, stimulating our local economy in a way to be productive members of pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. Mm-hmm. If you just remove their bootstraps and continue to chastise, I mean, we're losing in the long run.
We have lost. We're losing now. Look at what's happening to our world right now. That's how we know we've lost. We're losing right now.
Right. But just to remind you of something you just taught me, we can't lose faith. We can't lose hope.
Can't.
We have to have joy, because if we crumble in that, then we'll just stay lost.
Absolutely.
And I think your son would be so proud to see how much you're energizing your community. You're getting people to ask questions and to learn, and igniting, a political light bulb in the hearts and minds of other people in your community that probably have really felt left out.
Mm-hmm. Or they'll tell you, this is the other thing, and I hate the negative part of it. They'll tell you, oh, you shouldn't have bought this up because this is not going to look good for you. I don't give a damn about looking good for me. I'm trying to save my son, our people, whatever it takes to save our people. If my life has to be that sacrificial life, then okay, I've lived my life in the way I should have done. I don't care about that. I don't mind myself. I want to help and heal and make things better. So if that's what it takes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue.
Part of the reason why crime and gang violence and everything is up so high is because no one's talking about it.
Exactly.
They're suffering in silence. Mm-hmm. Like grandparents that maybe, the guardians of their grandkids that are like getting into trouble because their children are maybe incarcerated and they don't have, whatever. There's so many stories like that.
So many.
And if you were a politician who had absolutely no history of anything like that and you're knocking on their door, you think they're going to make time to vote for you if you can't resonate with their stories whatsoever or the struggle? And yet that's the type of person that like the Democratic Party will be quick to like recruit, is someone who frankly has a lot of privilege, who might not even be able to empathize with a story like that. Mm-hmm. And grassroots people who are born out of the flames of their struggle, like they're the ones that are working 10 times harder just to be seen without the investment from like the party.
Absolutely.
And so I'm so proud of your journey. And I think that more people need to hear your story, which is exactly why we're here. But with all the work that's going on and with all the loss and you're just going and holding your head up high, like what do you do to replenish yourself spiritually so that you can refill your cup?
My biggest outlet, I think, is because I pray. I pray a lot. Because without God, I don't think I would have been able to sustain myself. Mm-hmm. And I know his angels are always encamped around me. And sometimes I can hear my grandma talking crazy to me, because that was my best friend. So, and I can hear my grandfather saying, hey, girl, we got a whole lot of more work to do. And don't throw all that paper over there and meaning money, because he was all about his money. He's like, oh no, don't waste your money on foolishness. Let's stand up and do what we know we need to do. Mm-hmm. Let's handle responsibilities the way we're supposed to. Right. Remember the things that I taught you. So those are my sounding boards, because I don't have the photos anymore. But I can hear their voices speaking to me in that regard. Mm-hmm. When I feel like I'm at my lowest, I just pray. And I have some people that I can have conversations with, but it's few and far between, because they don't really understand how far. And Janae, how can you hold your head up with all of that? Because God, I don't suffer from any mental illness at all. You know, I have PTSD, which, you know, anybody with the circumstances that I went through, they would have it too.
100%.
But I am grateful because I have that. I cook. That's my outlet. I sing when I get a chance to. When I go back home to Jersey, I go perform with my friends. I go karaoke and I go and sing, and those are my things. You know, I used to do background singing for Betty Wright and all that kind of thing. So I love that. I love opera, which people don't really know. Those are my things. I love music.
Did you hear that, Timothée Chalamet? Opera's not dead. People like it. Well, that's really inspirational. It sounds like you're going to have to plan a karaoke fundraiser soon so that people can really hear you go all out.
We'll do that. I have, on June the 6th, I'm working on doing a block party, and I want to invite all neighborhoods and everybody, all candidates. I want everybody to come out to have a good time. It's all about the community and building back and taking back and doing for us. Right. And I want to continue this moving forward.
Like souls to the polls, because, you know, well, June 8th is qualifying.
Right.
So
it's a couple of days.
Yeah. So it'll be a big launch into you qualifying. So that'll be good. Mm-hmm. Do you have any plugs for folks that want to donate to you, volunteer? Like, how can they get involved with your campaign?
You can always reach me directly, call me, or you can email me, Buford, Buford Johnson, JOHOSN, JANET, Janae, at gmail.com. You can send me an email. You can follow me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can actually write on one of the photos and write whatever comments you want.
I smoke signaled her and she got here. So
when you get that in there, you can always reach me from there. You can also go to my website. I mean, on my website is there. So if you're there, and there's also always a way to get in touch with me, no matter what. So, but picking up the phone is the quickest way, or texting me. So.
Awesome. Well, I'm really grateful that you shared your story. I'm so excited to see the journey that you're going to be on in this moment. And I just heard thunder outside, so we're going to close this up. But thank you so much. And Absolutely. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you heard today, please comment, subscribe, and share. And visit organizingtovictory.com so that you can learn more about all the ways that we're going to be organizing this year. It is the most important election year of our lives. I know you hear that all the time, but we here at Organizing to Victory hope to not just talk about the issues, but to organize around the issues. So please share, subscribe, and follow us. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.